Do you think fighting as a resolution for political differences is a good example for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol?
Sir, I get it. It's about character assassination for you. That's the way this game is played. I understand it.
During Markwayne's Senate confirmation hearing, Rand Paul played a series of clips trying to portray him as short-tempered, which led to a heated exchange. Eventually, the incoming DHS secretary laid out his actual priorities and secured support from 2 Democrats. That's why today's video is not to be missed. So, if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
You're unrepentant. The only thing you quibble about is whether I met you somehow when you were in the House. I don't think we ever met when you were in the House. And this idea that the only thing you're upset about is not that you were for violence. What you're upset about is that I called you a liar because you said it to my face. It's really more about this machismo that you have.
I don't always agree with that. I don't believe in political violence. I've made that very clear. But sometimes people do need, theoretically speaking, sir, I get it. It's about character assassination for you. That's the way this game is played. I understand it.
But really, there's a pattern of this. Let's go ahead and roll the tape.
You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be 2 consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution?
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond?
Hold it.
Now, this exchange actually traces back to 2023, and there's an actual backstory. It all began in March of the same year, during a Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee hearing, when Teamsters President Sean O'Brien clashed with Mullin over unions and ended up calling him a, quote, greedy CEO. Sean then took it to Twitter, posting a photo mocking Markwayne's height and challenging him directly, telling him to drop the tough guy act and meet him anyplace, anytime. But it doesn't end there, because Mullin fired back with a post of his own, suggesting an MMA fight, the proceeds of which would go to charity. Of course, that never happened. But the tension carried over. A few months later, during another hearing with the same committee, the 2 crossed paths again. And that's when this exchange happened. Rand then proceeded to play Markwayne's reactions to this incident, and he was full on bragging about it. Take a look.
If he got up too, would you have gone at it right there in the hearing room?
I would have probably jumped over the dais at that point. You have to be called out on it. If not, this guy continues to get away with this stuff. And it's just, you know, it's silly, it's stupid, but every now and then you need to get punched in the face. Well, go back to the 1800s and 1700s. They used to have canings.
And duels. And they used to have duels. Yeah.
Right. And there was a way that men used to settle their differences. I ignored him 4 times prior to that. And people say, yes, you're supposed to ignore it. Well, you know, I'm not a very good Christian. I try to be a good Christian. And I know people say you're supposed to turn the other cheek. I prefer the David method.
But we need to move from an almost
and by the way, I'm not afraid of biting. I will bite.
Biting?
I'll bite 100%. Yeah. I'm in a fight. I'm going to bite. I'll do anything. I mean, I'm not above it. And I don't care where I bite, by the way. It just is going to be a bite.
In hindsight, any regrets?
No, I really don't.
So no regrets. In fact, even after your anger had cooled, you were still bragging that if he'd only been brave enough to stand up, you'd have jumped over the dais and taught him a lesson, because that's how men should settle their differences.
Now, some people were surprised Senator Paul brought up these clips, but there was a reason behind it. You see, the 2 had their own history. Just a month ago, Mullin reportedly told his constituents at a breakfast in Tulsa that, quote, Rand is a freaking snake. And I understand completely why his neighbor did what he did. This was referring to an infamous case in 2017 when the Kentucky senator was assaulted at his home and seriously injured. So the whole thing was mainly driven by personal reasons. But it didn't go unanswered, as the incoming DHS secretary pushed back by saying he is now on good terms with the union boss, which led to a heated back and forth. Now, before we get to that, we have a quick message from today's sponsor. While the world watches Iran light up the Middle East, the United States just received a wake-up call that goes far beyond oil, and the mainstream media barely even mentions it. The U.S. Navy's nuclear fleet, the systems protecting this country, and even the energy grid of the future all rely on one critical element: uranium. Right now, we use more than 50 million pounds of it every year, but produce under 1 million at home. That's a 50-to-1 ratio gap and a serious national security vulnerability. That's why the Department of Energy committed $2.7 billion to rebuild domestic uranium enrichment. At the same time, the White House invoked Section 232, sending a clear signal that President Trump's direction is set. America must secure its own supply chain now. This is where Atomic Minerals enters the picture. Trading as Atom on the TSX Venture and ATMMF on the OTC, it's not a brand new company taking its first shot. Its leadership helped discover and sell the Rough Rider deposit to Rio Tinto for $654 million. The real question is this: can they repeat that success? Atomic controls 4 wholly owned projects across the Colorado Plateau, a region responsible for more than 597 million pounds of historic production. Its flagship project, South Lisbon Valley East in Utah, sits inside a district that has already produced 80 million pounds. Uranium prices have climbed from $28 in 2017 to roughly $95 today, with forecasts pointing even higher. The same team once closed a $654 million deal. Yet today, the company trades at an 87% discount to the average valuation of its peers. So if you want to learn more about this critical mineral story, check out the link in the description below. Hey, special thanks to Atomic Minerals for making today's video possible.
Do you think fighting as a resolution for political differences is a good example for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol?
As you can notice over my shoulder here is my good friend Sean O'Brien. Both of us have had conversations, both of us have shaken hands, and both of us agreed we could have done things different. Sean is someone that has become a close friend. We talk all the time. I've been on his podcast. We've talked through this. That's how you handle your differences. Not like this, Chairman.
Is it today your opinion that the caning of Charles Sumner was not only justified but argues still for resolving our political differences with violence?
What I was simply pointing out is some of the rules that still apply to this body. For instance, dueling with 2 consenting adults is still there. I was pointing out what is still
illegal for 170 years. There's no precedent for legal dueling. Even then, they fled the country. And that's what you live by. That is a very, very dangerous sentiment.
Now, most of these incidents, whether canning, dueling, or even large brawls, generally took place before the Civil War, when tensions between the North and the South were at their peak. Since then, Congress has put rules in place to make that kind of behavior illegal. And when you look at today's climate, we are already dealing with rising political violence. So the last thing we need is lawmakers getting into physical fights with witnesses or even each other. Even when someone insults you or spreads false claims, the moment it turns physical, the argument is lost. It might get some cheers in the moment, but this is the institution responsible for making laws that affect everyone, not the MMA. Mullin then shifted to his opening statement and laid out how he would approach the role of DHS differently from Kristi Noem, and he actually delivered a pretty good speech.
I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us. I did address those remarks. I did explain your gimmicks by the amendment you put forth, because you have spent millions of dollars in my campaigns against me, because we just don't get along. However, sir, that doesn't keep me at all from doing my job. I can have different opinions with everybody in this room, but as Secretary of Homeland, I'll be protecting everybody, including Kentucky, as much as I will my own backyard in Oklahoma. It's bigger than the partisan bickering that we have. It's bigger than the political differences we have. The truth is, I have a job to do, and I don't like to fail at anything. My goal in 6 months is that we're not in the lead story every single day. My goal is for people to understand we're out there, we're protecting them, and we're working with them. My goal is to make every one of you guys proud. My goal for those that don't support me will regret not supporting me.
Now, that's a big pledge, and it is hard to see it playing out fully. You see, Even if everything is going perfectly at the DHS, immigration is one of the points the MSM and the Democrats have realized they can use to energize their base. That said, Markwayne outlined other commitments, like barring ICE agents from entering homes or businesses without judicial warrants, except in very narrow cases. So here's to hoping this leadership brings the promised changes.